Hello friends, I have lots of photos to share with you today, along with my thoughts on the latest mid-range zoom from Nikon. This is the 24-70mm f2.8S lens for Nikon's Z series cameras. Right now, that's the Z6 and the Z7, and I've been using this lens on both of those cameras for a couple of months now. These are the questions that I will answer today. What is this lens? I'll discuss the technical specifications. How is this lens? Is it good? Is it not so good? Why did I purchase this lens, considering that I already had the f4 version and the f2.8G lens for f-mount Nikon bodies? And in that same vein, what are the differences among the three? This is really important. Which one will be best for you? I will share technical and quality differences, but also the practical use of the three. And also tons of photos and videos, a time lapse or two. And in fact, I will put a timestamp on the screen right now to where I start showing images, and I will also do a big slideshow at the end. Oh, and keep in mind that this video is being filmed with this lens with a neutral density filter on it. So through watching this and seeing lots of examples and photos and videos taken with this lens at different focal lengths and apertures of different subjects, you will be able to draw some of your own conclusions on this lens and whether or not it may be for you. Let's kick this off with the physical characteristics of the lens, and we'll put it side by side with my other 24-70mm lenses so that you can see the differences. Here is the 24-70mm f2.8S lens, the 24-70 f4S lens, and the 24-70 f2.8G ED lens. Now, this is not the most current f-mount version of this lens, but it is what I have, so I will draw comparisons with it. I am going to keep the FTZ adapter on this lens for illustration purposes because, well, you have to use it when putting it on a Z camera. So, size and weight. The new lens is in the middle of the three in terms of size and weight. This older option is heavier and longer. In fact, I don't particularly like using it if I'm going to be walking around with the lens, hanging around my neck, because it's pretty awkward. The native lens definitely balances better with the body. I'm not sure that it would be the one deal breaker for me, though, if I was deciding whether or not to purchase this new S lens when I already have this G lens. Looking at the f4S lens, for those of you that already have it and are deciding whether or not to purchase this new f2.8S lens. The f4 lens is significantly more compact and noticeably lighter weight than the f2.8S lens. I love that I can tuck this lens into its locked position and it stays out of my way when I am hiking around with my camera around my neck, and it takes up less space in my camera bag. That being said, if I want the f2.8 capability, I haven't thought twice about grabbing the larger lens in the last couple months. On the flip side, if size and weight is a major factor, or if you don't really need the f2.8 aperture, the f4 is a fantastic lens. I will share some comparison images in a minute. Continuing on with the exterior of the lens. Like most zoom lenses, all three of these have a focus ring for when you want to manually focus, and a zoom ring, but this new lens has a few things that give you some additional flexibility. There is an additional ring and also a lens function button, both of which can be assigned in the menus to a number of functions. The point here is to make your workflow more efficient. There is also an electronic window at the top of the lens, and you can choose the info that you want on it. The f4 lens has no window, and the f2.8G lens does have a window that shows the focusing distance only. Now, Raymond loves the electronic window on the new lens, but I can really only think of one place where this being illuminated could be helpful, and that is astrophotography. When you're in the dark, you'll be able to see your focusing distance. If any of you have any other uses for this, definitely let the rest of us know down in the comments. So, does the additional customization of the function button and third ring on the lens matter? I think that they are attractive because I'm all about efficiency. I have the function button set to take one shot using spot metering, which I do like, but these added things weren't what made the difference for me when choosing to purchase this lens. That's it for the physical characteristics on the outside of the lens. Let's discuss the stuff that you can't see. And this is where we get into the photos and the videos I've taken during my time with the lens so far. This lens can maintain f2.8 throughout the zoom range. f2.8 means control over depth of field effects and also better low light capability when comparing it to the f4 lens. For me, f2.8 is important in some of my work. I mean, having better capability in low light and more options for getting shallow depth of field are a luxury just for my personal fun time. And I do like that flexibility when I'm creating my art, but on top of that, there are a slew of other reasons why it is important to me and why I chose to purchase the f2.8 lens when I already have the f4S lens. The shallow depth of field is important to me when I'm filming my videos. I want that shallow depth of field so I can blur out the background behind me. Whether it is me or a piece of camera gear as a subject, actually, a shallow depth of field helps focus the viewer's attention. And in terms of still photography, having that shallow depth of field allows me to isolate specific areas on gear so that I can illustrate what I'm saying or, again, draw the viewer's attention to something in particular. On top of that, this f2.8 lens allows more light into the camera than, say, its f4 counterpart. And while camera sensors in general, certainly including the Z6 and Z7, are getting incredibly good at low light performance, situations like astrophotography can still substantially benefit from wider apertures. On a related note, in the past, we all just kind of accepted that our images would be softer when shooting the lens wide open, and that we'd often end up with color fringing in high contrast situations, but that's not the case anymore. Current lenses and camera firmware are getting better and better at eliminating those issues. This new lens has innards, which in combination with the Z camera's firmware help minimize aberrations like color fringing, and they allow your image to be sharp across the frame. For all of you pixel peepers out there, this lens will not disappoint. It is very sharp. But is it any sharper than these other two lenses? Honestly, not in any practical way. They are all spectacular. I can't say that you should get one over any of the others when considering clarity alone. Now let's discuss autofocus. All of these autofocus quickly on the Z cameras. However, the S lenses have the added benefit of being able to autofocus quietly. It was the quiet autofocus during video shooting that ultimately had me purchasing this lens when I already had the f2.8G lens. Quick and quiet is one thing, but focus accuracy is another, and that's where I want to start. The native S lenses benefit from the Z camera's combination of contrast detect and phase detect autofocus, but when using the FTZ adapter, your F-mount lenses only utilize phase detect autofocus, so your autofocus won't be as consistently quick and accurate with the FTZ adapter. In addition to that, I found in my testing that I got inconsistent results using the f2.8G lens. Depending on the focal length and the distance to the subject, the lens would sometimes front focus or back focus. So my caution here is that if you want your autofocus to be the best it can be, especially if you use a shallow depth of field often, I would recommend the native S lenses. I do want to be clear here though. I'm not saying the f-mount lens on the Z series is trash. It's not. I used this lens on my Z series cameras for lots of photos prior to purchasing the S lens. And I didn't notice this focusing issue until I was zooming way in on my subjects when I was creating this review. And even then, it didn't happen every time. It's really a matter of how particular you are. But moving on to how quiet the autofocus is. This is why I can't use f-mount lenses for filming my videos. They are noisy. Here's my f2.8G lens autofocusing on the Z7. I used an on-camera microphone, but I didn't edit the audio at all. You hear that? So it's pretty quick, but it's not quiet. Loud, right? But here's the f2.8S lens. This is how quickly and quietly the camera focused on me with the 24-70 f2.8 S lens. Pretty quiet, right? No noise. So I can move around in my video if I need to. The camera will track me and the lens won't distract us with any of its noises. Another key about this lens is its robust weather sealing, which it has in common with all of the Z series cameras and lenses. This is a particularly important thing to me because I am out in the elements with my gear on a weekly basis, and I don't want to have to tuck my gear away at the first sight of rain or snow or dust. That being said, this isn't unique to this version of the lens. I've certainly had my F-mount version out in all sorts of wet and dirty situations, and it is still going strong. Now, image stabilization. S lenses don't have it because the Z bodies have 5-axis in-body stabilization. If you use the FTZ adapter with your F-mount lenses, the in-body stabilization is limited to 3 axes. However, if your F-mount lens has VR, you get back those 2 axes. So my 24-70 millimeter f2.8 G lens does not have vibration reduction, so I don't get the full image stabilization that my S lenses get. So if that matters to you, it may help guide your decision. Okay, all of those physical characteristics, both that you can and can't see, add up to a workhorse of a lens. And that's what I wanted it for, and I was willing to pay the premium for it, for my work. I wanted to have native compatibility for ease of use, no adapter needed. It's smaller and lighter than its F-mount counterpart, along with the precise and near silent autofocus that also comes along with this Z-mount lens. This comes into play for me both in shooting video and in still photography. And the bottom line is that it gets out of my way. It's quiet, it's compact, it can get the job done. I don't have to worry about it. I can trust that I will get stellar results every time. Now, will I ever grab my 24-70 millimeter f4S lens off the shelf now that I have the f2.8? Definitely. Image quality isn't an issue. It's really going to be about if I value the smaller size and weight of the f4 lens or if I need the wider aperture for that particular purpose. I don't see a reason why I would put my F-mount f2.8 lens on my Z cameras, considering that I have the other 2 lenses, but I might. I would just keep an eye on where my focus is and maybe utilize manual focus and focus peaking if I need to. And I certainly put other F-mount lenses on my camera, for example, my 200-500 f5.6 lens. For you, which lens is best? Do you need the new f2.8 S lens? There's no one-size-fits-all answer. It's a significant investment, costing more than either of the 2 lenses that I showed you today. You have to balance the capabilities of the lens and your goals with that cost. If I didn't have the job that I have, I'm not sure I would go beyond the f4S lens unless I had tangible reasons to use f2.8. Like I did a lot of astrophotography, or I really loved a shallow depth of field. I'm curious what you think though. Let me know down in the comments below. Is the f2.8 S lens worth the investment for you? It was for me. Now for current pricing in your area. There is an Amazon link below. Thanks to those of you that use those links, by the way, because even though you're just getting to Amazon and paying the same price and all, your purchases when you use those links help keep me making videos. In the description, you will also see links to my first impressions video and a video where I used this lens in the studio for some self-portraits utilizing iDetect autofocus and the SnapBridge app. Now I feel like I've talked enough for one day. If there's anything else that you want to know, I'm happy to answer those questions in the comments below. And thanks to all of you that are still watching. Here are some more photos for you.